drove my first ND when it launched, I wasn't impressed. The engine note was dull like never before, and the 2-liter didn't feel as smooth as it did in the last Mazda 3. That and the ride was really brittle. But that wasn't an LA grid. Mallorca is an entirely different story. The road surface there is as smooth as a freshly starched shirt, and the engine sounds better when the whirs and frenzy reverberate off canyon and tunnel walls, always close to your ear. While I had requested and I thought I'd secured a 1.5-liter, it ended up being a 2-liter, just like our own. Driving that 2-liter I never once wanted for more power though, especially once I filled half a tank with 98 RON rather than the 95 the agency required. I did however wish for better drivability. Like the FRS, clutch take-up, snatch, and driveline rock is ever present, especially with gearing that is a big gap between second and third, and has you constantly switching not because you want to, but because you have to. And throttle tip-in is needlessly abrupt as well, especially with that 98 in its belly. I also wished for a broader usable power band, but not for the reason you think. Up high, it's not a good noise. Down low, the car reverberates and bucks with the tiny patter of the cylinders. The dual mass revision for this year was Sage. In the MX5, without it, you drive around the resonances. My rental was on a spec tire up front, but some hilariously slippy but not so sloppy Chinese tires in the rear. Half throttle second gear slides and frequent stability intervention ensued, but I found it charming. I also wonder if Mazda's firming up the suspension to appease whiny journalists is going to be a good thing. This car moves and breathes under you like few others, lets you use throttle, steering, and the weight to steer and enjoy like a good 911. I wouldn't want to lose that. Inside, the materials are just good enough to feel worth the price, and to keep this German car snob content. The rearview mirror seems far too large, blocking more view forward than it gives you rearward. And without the telescoping wheel, the driving position is a least of all evils approach. The temperature gauge is curious in that it can be switched off, another sign of their extinction, I suppose. Better to toggle between coolant and oil temperature, you'd think, no? If I could change one thing about the ND, it's the ESC programming. The car is so balanced and willing to move around at the rear that it seems the ESC is there to allow the inherent rotation but keep it from going too far. Given that role, it should step in with less drama and noise, and perhaps have a more lenient sports setting like I championed the BMW back in 2000, and the Toyota returns got after launch. As it is now, you're either kept from having fun, or worried you're going to paint a guardrail soul red or a ravine blood red if you mess up. If I could take one thing from the ND and put it in my own car, or every car, it's the headlights. The adaptive and auto high beam features on this car are a revelation you have to experience to believe. Why the US is such a shithole country when it comes to lighting continues to baffle me. Mazda has spent so much time and energy trying to make their front-wheel drive cars less flawed and emulate rear-wheel drive. The MX-5 is a reminder of why, and that in a perfect world, all Mazdas would be driven from the rear and have a 50-50 balance. If BMW won't be BMW, perhaps Mazda can. I've told myself that if Mazda brings over the 1.5-liter on 16s, with performance hardware and luxury fittings in one car, I would spring to buy an RF. And now that they've revised the 2-liter to be more like that 1.5 and let those options coexist, I'm hesitant to drive one. I'm worried I'll do something stupid like drive it home. Maybe the answer is Miata after all.